Hello, welcome back to my kitchen. Today we're going to be making some bacon grease chocolate chip cookies. I found the recipe for I was first inspired by a video I saw on YouTube of a person making these, and they were just like raving how good they were, which obviously the way social media stuff works, that's usually how it goes. Very high energy, a lot of positivity. Well, I guess it could be high energy, a lot of negativity, but the recipe that I made is not the exact one that they made. So there can be some differences there. The big first note is that they did full bacon grease where mine is like half and half. So there's bacon grease and butter still. But I realized that if you went full bacon grease, these are almost dairy free. Like if you just find some dairy free chocolate chips, there's no dairy in this because usually it's the butter that is the dairy in cookies. And we've removed that partially. I partially removed it. Their recipe fully removed it. But I also made two different batches here. Like this is following the recipe exactly. And then these are actually saving some of the dough, letting it sit overnight. Because a lot of the cookie recipes that I've made in the past tell you to let the dough sit overnight so the flavors kind of meld together. But this one was just, you make the dough, you put it straight into the oven. So we're gonna do a little bit of a head-to-head comparison there, and then overall see how these stack up to like normal cookies I've made in the past. Also, this recipe is a gluten recipe that I'm just subbing my King Arthur gluten-free flour out for, because in cookie recipes, it's pretty easy to just do a one-to-one swap and they turn out pretty much the same. I mean, like these look like normal cookies. But I'm very excited. I hope you are too. Stick around to the end when we do the taste test and actually figure out how they turned out. But first we need to run through the ingredients and then get into cooking. Bacon grease, butter, sugar, brown sugar, an egg, vanilla extract, flour, baking soda, salt, and chocolate chips. The first step is going to be to cream together the sugars as well as the room temperature bacon grease and butter. And then once they are fully mixed, it should be a light and fluffy consistency. Next, we're gonna add the vanilla and the egg and then just mix that to incorporate. You don't wanna overmix or else the cookies will turn out tough. Next, just add in the flour, the salt, and the baking soda, and just mix that up. And then finally for the dough, we're just gonna fold in some chocolate chips. On a parchment-lined baking sheet, we're going to scoop out the dough, roughly walnut size, just fit as many as you can onto the baking sheet. Finally, we're gonna bake at 350 for 10 to 12 minutes, and then, put those on a rack someplace to let them fully cool once they come out of the oven, and then they're ready to enjoy. All right, so I actually already recorded this and didn't actually record audio. So let's do this again. We're going to do the taste test of the overnight cookies first. I mean, that's a good cookie. And now we're going to taste the cookie where we just went straight from making the dough right into the oven. Both are delicious. They're really good. I'm leaning a little bit more towards the overnight ones just because it feels like the flavors are not necessarily like blended, like they're working together better. Like they kind of make each other pop a little bit more. Like it just has a more vibrant flavor versus the straight into the oven feels a little muted. Both are delicious. I mean, it's a chocolate chip cookie. You can't really go wrong there. But the overnight ones just feel, it might be just purely in my head. To me, they taste better. They're also, I would argue, more convenient because you can make the dough like the day before and then actually bake them like right before guests show up without having to have made the dough right before guests show up if you're making these for people. I would say tastes better, a little bit more convenient for scheduling and stuff like that. I would go with this in the future, just make the dough, pop in the oven, see you tomorrow, and then you make it. But both delicious. Also both not a real strong bacon flavor, which is a little unfortunate because I was kind of hoping for something a little bit weird, something a little different, and they just taste like chocolate chip cookies. Like if I gave this to somebody without telling them, they would be like, chocolate chip cookie. I'd be like, anything else? And they were like, dark chocolate chip cookie? Like, I don't think they would ever get to bacon grease has been put in there, which maybe is a little bit of a positive thing because the bacon grease that I used, I was a little bit worried because I kind of burnt the bacon while I was making the bacon to get the bacon grease. So there was a bit of me that was concerned that that burnt flavor was gonna come through into the cookie, but it did not. That's a positive there. I don't know if maybe swapping all of the butter out for bacon might make it taste more bacony. But then for that fact, if we do no bacon grease and just do butter, will that taste any better or worse? Which, I mean, the fact that I probably will do those in the future is one of the joys of cooking things, is you can just kind of do these experiments. Like, it's edible science almost, where I can, come up with the hypothesis of like, will more bacon grease make it taste like more bacon? Well, that's not how a hypothesis is structured, but you get my point. And then I can do the experiment, taste it, and be like, yes, it does taste like bacon. Or no, it does not. But maybe it tastes better in some other way. Like maybe the texture is a little bit better, maybe something like that. Or on the opposite end, like maybe the all butter tastes better. I don't know. But you got to kind of do the experiment to see the results. And I just find that that is super cool. But yeah, and once again, it's a, gluten recipe that I've made gluten-free by swapping King Arthur flour out for the flour listed in the recipe. But you could really use any kind of like, if it's like stated like cup for cup or for like measure for measure, you should be good to go. Cookies do not need gluten for structure. So overall, delicious cookie. I hope you make it. It's very simple to do. Anybody can handle this one. Just don't cause a grease fire when you're making, when you're getting the bacon grease. That's the only tricky part of this, which once again, you might not even need the bacon grease. You might just do all butter and it's probably just as good. So did we really accomplish anything here? Bacon related? Not really. Cookie related? Very much so. And I'm gonna go eat at least 2 more cookies because I've earned it. And on that note, bye mom, still not dead. See you.